Um, or it has started. So we'll let people get in here. I'm going to go on my phone, check audio levels, and hopefully we'll be able to.
But did you hear Twitch updated their TOS?
Update the what?
The terms of service again?
What for the artistic nudity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't they like regret it instantly?
Oh,
Pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they
If
haven't,
they haven't yet,
they will.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure they already regret it, but I mean, it is what it is. All right. Well, at least this gives, 15 minutes for people to get in here and we're gonna check and see. I know YouTube sometimes has some issues with streaming recently. It's why I haven't been streaming at all recently. Oh. Hey
hey
guys.
guys.
Holy shit, that's loud.
Just a little. Sir, I don't think this C will work. I think we're gonna do the entire fucking logo.
Why?
Because the C
It's
is
cropped a
bigger.
little.
Yeah.
That's okay. All right, hold on. I think
We're gonna have the entire logo print.
for some reason it's automatically putting the stream to private on YouTube. So that's fixed now. So that's good.
780 by 585. Okay. Swear to God, Blender. Swear to fucking God. Your ass better stop this bullshit now.
Okay. Now close out of this. Try and keep my tabs low, but you know how easy that is.
No, I don't.
It's not easy at all.
I know.
I'm going to load up Twitch on my phone and go to our account and see how things are. And I have to log into Twitch. One of the most things that I'm excited for this event is just talking about our updates on Crew, and honestly, it's gonna be a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Just remember that it's gonna be a pretty small logo if we're putting it on the printer.
Yep.
Just remember that it's okay, so audio looks good at the moment. All right. So Twitch looks like it's doing pretty good. take over look at YouTube, see if that's finally not being the way it is. Not YouTube's up as well. That's good. Awesome. And close a couple windows here. All right, I got chat now on my top screen to quickly that pop that over. Okay, almost there. All right. Well, I mean, it's close enough to 2 o'clock. I think we can start a couple minutes early. What do you think?
Okay, I'm just suggesting something.
All right. Let me try and make this a little here. I love how your brother decides to combat the bots with the bots be gone.
That's normal him.
That guessing that's on Twitch. All right, let me switch over to my webcam here. And hey everyone, welcome to the December 2023 Federal Interactive State of Play event. This is our first one that we're doing every 6 months, where we're going to be talking about everything on the pipeline, from Crooner at the Atheist to any of the software that we have in store. So we have myself, Andrew, and then we also have it on a Discord call remotely. Michael, who will have his keynote here in a little bit. Say hi, Michael.
Hi.
Hi. All right, so let's get straight into the display here. I'm gonna minimize chat and keep myself on the top right for now. So we're gonna be going over today's agenda first of all. So we are getting started. We're going to talk about the new events and the new structure. We kind of already talked about it just a second ago. And talk about our new Discord and Patreon plans. Have our Crew and Wrath the Atheist showcase with the latest update, exclusive first looks at the new system, some of the new systems that we have in store. Specifically, we have Michael's keynote on shrine modeling for the gods, and then we also have a small Q&A at the end of that section. After this, we're going to go into some of our software that we have, specifically starting with TechPack, our software for inventory management. I'll go over the overview of that and pricing. Going over our small business reward system, our bus route manager, future plans and products, and then we'll have our closing remarks for today. And every single one of these will have a Q&A at the end of the session. So if you're on Twitch or YouTube, if you just put your questions or comments into the chat, when we get to that point in time, we will look at both of those and start doing that. So let's get started with our getting started page. So State of Play events will be hosted every June and December unless stated otherwise in a press release. That would be if we do want to do one, but there's something going on in our personal lives, or if one of us is unable to make it. We will either postpone for a couple weeks, or we will just altogether cancel that State of Play event for that half of the year. We also have a Discord shop. So in our Discord server for Crew and the Wrath the Atheist here, I am going to bring this on over. We have now a server shop on the top hand corner, which has a early access pass. The price is not set in stone because I was just working on it, but this will be a access pass to get any beta update up to 2 weeks early from the rest of the beta testers, for those who want to experience everything before someone else. But we probably might be getting rid of this specifically, the Discord shop, because we're also currently working on our Patreon page, which I will pull that up as well over here. So we've had a couple failed attempts at a Kickstarter, so we thought maybe we would try a Patreon and see if that works. Just due to the limited amount of time you have to get the funding from Kickstarter, Patreon should be able to help us get a little bit of funding without having to get a certain amount of money within those 30 days. So we have a total of 5 tiers. We have our helper at $1. We have our backers at $5, supporters at $10, absolute legends at $50, and then our steelbook edition at $100. And these are all monthly payments for helping us out. So each of these tiers have different perks of so let's say for a helper, you're just helping us out. We're going to be having a Discord access tier, which will have exclusive servers just for Patreons and exclusive first looks that will be essentially the same as a beta tester. The backer at $5 a month. In this tier, you'll be able to get our previous rewards plus access to beta updates earlier than other testers. This is why we were getting rid of that Discord shop here in the future. Our supporter at $10 a month. We're going to be creating a Patreon cave somewhere inside the game itself. It will not be publicly announce where in the world it'll be. It'll be something that you guys will have to walk around and find inside the world. But each of these Patreons that are supporters or onwards are going to have a name or alias of their choosing inscribed into a piece of stone that we'll be modeling and then putting it into that cave itself as kind of like a permanent shrine for all of those who have helped us along the way. And then also anything going further from supporter gets their name in the credits in a digital copy of the game. Absolute Legend is essentially the same, but you get an additional copy of a digital copy of the game. The name in the credits, one name you're choosing in the Patreon cave with Discord access. This is kind of like a middle tier. We might be adding another perk or two in the future, but at the very end of the list, the Steelbook Edition, you get 2 digital copies of the game, your name in the credits. As long as it's approved, you get to name a boss. This is not going to be a story-based boss, but it'll be a mini boss that you can find along the way. If it's going to be in a dungeon, a side quest, or a side storyline, etc. Your name in the Patreon cave, you get to name 1 item and 1 NPC. And we are looking at a vendor who will do a limited edition steelbook copy of the game. So obviously, if you get the Steelbook Edition, your 2 digital copies or the Steam keys or whatever, or if you're going to do Steam or Xbox, that will be discussed when the game is released with all those supporters here are going to be able to have those in the box. We're also going to be thinking about maybe getting some little figurines or little props to put in there. So we just bought a 3D printer for our next stage of some of our products, which we'll go into in a little bit, but we might have some of those 3D printed here in house for that Steelbox edition. And as soon as we get this figured out, a way to kind of make sure that we're constantly updating this page. It's one of our downfalls is essentially the marketing side of things. We're really good at development, but not good at constantly putting out marketing updates, which is another software we have in the pipeline coming probably next year. But we're still in the drawing phases of that. But a lot of posts or a lot of updates will be made here as well as soon as we start getting some Patreons into the system. But that is it for this system right here for the Patreon page. It is patreon.com/Thunderbolt Interactive. I'll have a link to it, and I will put it into the chat here real quick. Like so. So there we go. Just posted into the chat for anyone who was interested. And now we're going to go and onto the next part of the event. Ruiner at the Atheist. A lot of people have been waiting for updates on this, so we're going to get into it. So earlier this year, we made update 12, which was the interior update, and I do not remember exactly when we actually released the update itself, but I do know it was a decent bit ago. I can try and find the release date here real quick. I know we did 2 updates this year, or a little more, because we also had a State of Play event in March, which was the last Crew and State of Play event. But Looks like update 12 was about 3 months ago, which added all the interiors into all the towns except for capital buildings, just because of performance constraints inside the town itself. But now we want to announce update 13, codenamed the Everything Update, with a estimated release time of the second quarter of 2024. Probably going to be towards June. Right at the next State of Play event is probably when we will be releasing this update. So, codenamed Everything. It is a completely overhaul of every single one of our gameplay systems into the game that will make the game a lot nicer to play, a lot easier to use, and hopefully have a lot of performance improvements with them at the same time. So some of these aspects that we're changing is a completely new combat inventory equipment system, a whole new saving and loading system, fast travel will be improved, menus, and more. And we have a couple systems done that we are going to showcase here in just a moment here. So, sneak peek at the menus. We now have a new menu and new pause menu with a carousel menu. There's links to websites and well, a soon-to-be support page at the website, along with a changelog on the home page in the main menu. Our settings work a lot better than they did. Still a work in progress of the settings that'll actually be in that page, but now resolutions are set to a 16:9 ratio instead of being calculated by your screen's resolution. So I believe right now the max that it actually goes to is 1440p. And then there's also 1080, 720, 640, and 480, I believe, are what we currently have set. Due to performance issues with 4K, we do not have 4K added as a resolution, but will be at a later state in time now. And we have a little video here of the video that should have some of our menus. So here's that carousel menu update with the changelog in them. And then if you hit play, you have all of the menus settings. FPS and menu will give you a total of about 120 FPS in the menu. Be able to control the master volume. Change all the settings before you head in game. And then you also have the little help with support. And then you have play, load, and join game. Then here is the pause menu. We're going to be adding a little bit of a blur to make it easier, but it's essentially the exact same, except there's no home page and there's no play page. So that is that menu. So some of the things that you guys also saw was a development world. All of this is made in a test project with Crewin's original map. It's just supposed to help us with performance and just knock out any distractions that we would have. As of that video recording, which was about a week and a half ago, we were working on a world map system similar to like Skyrim, where you have all the icons on the a 3D world, except ours is a real-time not even a real-time capture. It's just a camera that's floating on the top side of the world that you can just move around and select different icons. But we're right now experiencing a bug where the icons the player can see while you're walking in the world, and we had to figure out how to get rid of the icons from the player view but still be able to see them in the world map view so that we can get that fast travel system working just fine. So, sneak peek into the player movement / model. We do not have the model yet. We are going to be importing it into the project sooner or later, but right now we just want to look at the player movement system. So we switched over from the combat system movement that is currently into the game into the advanced locomotive system version 4/5 for Unreal Engine. This gives you the ability to climb on top of objects. So if there's like a wall or something that you can actually like grab and climb yourself up, you'll be able to do that. A new camera system which allows first-person mode, and with the new combat system that is being developed for this game, you'll be able to actually do first-person combat as well. which is something that I think is going to be really cool. There's also calculated player ragdolling. So if you are falling or and you are ragdolling, let's say down a mountain, so you're kind of like rolling, it'll calculate your bone positions and you'll be able to get up from any angle, along with just new movement animations in total. The new player model will be a 16K resolution texture with AKI textures. The base player model will now have a loincloth around the waist, so if there's no pants in use. And as of the time being, the player is still named Buck from, I think, our first State of Play event we had earlier last year that my cousin Nick made up with that little soundbite that we still have somewhere, but it's not in the game still. But it is an Easter egg that we're gonna be putting it back in after we get after we get this new system going. So we're gonna go over the player movement system in this video right here, and the current player model is one of our barbarians that we have, not in the game yet, but we still have on our pipeline to work on here. So as you can see, we have a nice decent camera system that is kind of like a shoulder based. So right now we have it anchored to the right shoulder, and a couple more new animations, and there was some of that ragdoll, and there's that icon I was talking about a second ago. But in definitely certain areas in this mountain, you'd be able to climb yourself up, pick yourself up just like there, and try and get above the option. And here's some of that ragdolling physics that I was just talking about a moment ago. As you fall all the way down the mountain, and then you can just pick yourself up wherever you go. And you also have the ability to switch shoulders, first person view like so. And then ragdolling, put yourself in the third person. And then we also have a bunch of different movement sets that we have the ability to use, such as hands tied, which just makes your hands anchored to your back like so. We also have a couple others, such as the default, masculine, feminine, that we will not be using. Injured, hands tied, or injured again. We also have a bow move set already. We have a torch. We have binocular set. We also have box and barrels that you'll be able to use. There is a game-breaking bug if you, I believe it's fast travel. Was it fast traveling that was that bug?
No, it was when you ragdoll and then you equip the box. It just throws you to the sky.
Oh yeah, so when you ragdoll with a box in your hand, you just
Not with the box. You just ragdoll and then you equip the box.
you ragdoll and then equip the box, and then you just yeet across the whole map plus some. I mean, it was to the point where you went through the skybox. That's like
Too far.
a long ways away from the edge of the world. So, we're gonna head into Michael's keynote now, which is gonna include crew and shrines and a new animated Thunderbolt interaction logo. So, if Michael could share your screen real quick, and then I can move on over to that on the stream, we can get that started.
I think this works.
Okay. Take off monitor 1, bring monitor 2 in, and here you go. Michael, you can have the floor.
Okay, so what I've been busy on is working on a few two shrines in particular. Tuthar, the god of hell, and the god of wisdom, Laxthos. How do you
You
want to
got it
pronounce
mostly
that?
right. You almost got that right.
Okay. But essentially, what we have here is the workings of the Hell Throne, well, shrine. The materials and models are not entirely finished yet. But for the most part, what we have are columns sitting in a lava pool that does connect to the back of the platform here and to the side of it here, and there will be a a channel of lava going down the side. This box represents what will be the actual shrine monument itself. We have a massive staircase going up it, which for some reason is hidden in the material view. And we have along the staircase is a bunch of braziers that will be having fire along the entire side. Basically, it's gonna look basically chaotic slash demented because they're the god of hell. I thought it was a good representation of hell. And Andrew, what do you think?
It is my first time seeing this, and actually, it looks amazing. And I guess one of the things that we can talk about real quick, with the God of Hell, is we're gonna be having like 8 main gods, I believe, that will all have their like own plane of, I guess, like a separate plane of existence. Um, so the God of Hell is gonna be the main, um, in that hellish landscape, but like each of these hell type gods are probably gonna have the exact same type of monument, but just with a different monument shrine. Um, because one of the things that that we kind of want to experiment is being able to travel to that other dimension in a side quest.
Mm.
Anyway, I'm pretty sure you have a couple more shrines, Michael. So you want to start that real quick?
Also, we have 11 gods and goddesses. Though that's including a few ones that are not being made into shrines.
Yes.
This
So
this one is Laxthos, the god of wisdom. When I approached this, I thought the only thing that could come to mind is a library, a massive library. So this is just what I quickly came up with was 2 bookshelves that are full of books, lots and lots of books. I think around 10,000 each, roughly. We have a bunch of books that are animatable in the sky, floating around, and then at the end, the actual shrine itself is a gigantic bookshelf with massive books on it. It's not the finished product. I do have a material view that's not fully finished, but just to give you an idea of the amount of books that are on here, um,
there's a
there's a
lot.
few. But
Yeah,
this is
only a couple.
Um, originally I was gonna make it a lot like more shelves and like taller shelves. And then I finished doing one shelf and realized that's a lot of books, and I don't really want to break people's computers as much. So, I mean, it's untextured still. The flying books are animatable. They're able to open and close. So that's basically the concept and design of the shrine for God of Wisdom. I didn't get to any other shrines yet because these 2 have taken up a lot. But the other thing I did work on was the Thunderworld interactive logos fixed up a bit. Because the thing I was hearing a lot of was that it's a bit overkill. It was really long, so I cut it down a lot. Originally, it was, I think, 15, close to 15, 16. I think actually it was, no, I think it was 20 to 25 seconds long. This one is about 7.5. Um, I'll show you it without the materials first. It's basically just going to fly through, show that off, and then it's going to fade to a black screen here. But at this beginning part where it's dead silent, I'm going to have the same mouse cursor come over, click the earth, and then go off. And then it's going to switch into this. Basically, the biggest difference is there's no cloud, there's no particles coming down to lightning. There's very few lightning bolts on the earth itself. There's a lightning bolt across it. And the other thing that's huge difference is the way the text appears. It appears as this lightning bolt first, and then vanishes to the text itself. And how it looks like this is just goes across, comes back as the text. Haven't rendered it out yet, but that's basically what I'm going for. I figured it's a lot nicer. It's a lot not as overkill and dramatic with all of the particles and stuff. So yeah, that's basically what we're looking at for the final rendition. Is this logo?
And I gotta say, it looks really nice.
Thank you. That's all I got. You're up. If, assuming there's more.
Yeah, we do got a lot more on the docket still. Let me switch over back to that monitor here. Minus out of that. So that animated intro is going to be hopefully a part of this next update in that skippable intro section when you first launch the game. It's just going to be that plus the name of the game. So probably a total of maybe 13 to 14 seconds in total of video before it actually boots you into the main menu. But obviously you can always press enter to skip that. So all those shrines, we might not get all of them into this next update, but we do want to get as many as possible. And then as more updates come out, a lot more of these shrines will also appear. And the next part of this is a Q&A if anyone has any questions. But I do want to talk about quickly the route that the game is taking. So big plan is around June, when this next State of Play event comes out, this update's releases. We have the new player model. We have a new sky and lighting system that will hopefully hopefully get rid of the complete blackness around 7 a.m. in the game entirely. We're doing a landscape overhaul with roads and just what you see in the world. So we're probably going to be replacing the trees with a nicer version. And I'm still looking at other stuff here that we said that we were doing. Obviously, one of the biggest things we have to do after the combat system is done is to port all of the old items, weapons, armor over, which will be a big part of this last leg of the update itself. But I'm hoping to have the weather system done by the end of this month, and then also having the roads done as well by like the first or second week in January. So that way we can use the following 4 or 5 months ish all the way up until June to focus on the combat system. And then the world map system will most likely be incomplete, as we're still trying to get that system going. It probably will not be in this next update, but probably the following update. And that is for that update. The following updates will probably include either the addition of story-based characters around the world or enemies. We're kind of tossing this up in the air update for after this update what we want to do next, because after this update is done and the gameplay is set, it's really creating the story and the world, making sure it comes alive before it actually is ready for release. And speaking of release, we still don't have a set release date for this yet, but whenever the game is done, we're probably going to do a heavy 6-month marketing stint before it actually is released to Steam and Xbox. So we'll have more info on that probably next year. But if anyone has any questions or questions, they can post it into the chat. I have chat up and ready to read them as soon as they are done.
Nobody's watching on Twitch, by the way, so don't watch that chat.
Oh, I have both. No one's on either, actually. I think it's only your brother.
On Twitch, it's me.
On Twitch, it's you?
Yeah.
Oh, so we have nobody? Damn. Well, that's why we're also recording this. Alright, so next...
It's just me on both. Oh. My dad's on it. He's wanting to know a guest date for the release time.
Given all things go well, I want to say end of 2025, maybe early 2026, since we're technically still halfway through our development cycle. Since technically we started this in 2021. Is that right, Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2021. And we wanted a 5-year development cycle since it is an open world game. If it wasn't open world, it would be different. But so technically 5 years from the actual development date start would be like August 31st, 2026. Or no, yeah, 2026 would be 5 years from our first start date. So that's kind of what we're aiming towards, but at this rate, who knows at this point, but I'm hoping for 2025. Unless Michael has any comments on that.
Nope. Sounds fine to me.
All right. So I guess we're gonna now get into the software. Tech Pack. We've talked about this in the past. Has some updates. Has some nice additions. I'm gonna move my file explorer over here so I can get a couple things ready to go when that time comes. So Tech Pack, as we've already explained in previous events, is supposed to revolutionize inventory management by offering an all-in-one software solution, empowering businesses and individuals to manage their assets effectively and effortlessly. With TechPack, you can generate asset tags that are ready for print on a label printer, and you can attach those to assets that can be effortlessly tracked, recorded, and note statuses. TechPack comes in 3 versions. 2024, I have this as a stand-in release. I don't know if we're going to release TechPack this year. We still have a lot of testing to do. We still have to get a label printer that we can endorse that will work with TechPack, and then also have all of the specific version of essentially features of each individual version done before we want to release. Because we want to release all 3 at the same time rather than all of them separately. So we have Tech Pack 24 Lite, Standard, and Professional. Lite is most likely going to be for, like restaurant use. You're not going to want to put asset tags on, food that you're just going to throw out. So that's mainly going to be for, small businesses who don't want to use asset tags, or even for home use. For if you let's say, I'm going to go a personal example. I am building a web version of TechPack for my wife for the pantries and stuff. But standard is going to be the standard edition that comes with, be able to print out, generate asset tags inside the software itself. And then professional edition is going to be the all-in-one, true all-in-one. Has the ability to audit assets and make sure that they are still where it says in the system. These are really good for if there's like a school district, and this is back when I was in Tawas when I started developing this. Tawas area schools, when they would have the government come and audit all of the technology every summer, and they have to make sure it's where it's supposed to be with the right funding status. So that's what the professional edition would be for. And then it kind of like a version comparison with prices. So again, the Lite has the access database. You can check in or out an item. That's mainly for smaller businesses that don't want to use asset tags, but like 10 or less people for IT stuff. You can edit those assets. You have barcode scanner compatibility across the board in all versions. And then the Lite version is starting at $250 a year. But we're also going to be considering doing a one-time purchase model for the Lite edition. Standard has the ability to do the asset database across the board. You can generate asset tags, check things in and out. You can also print tags. And then you can also edit barcode scanner compatibility for $500 a year. We might do a perpetual license for standard as well, but the pro version has all the features across the board. It has the ability to audit assets. It has multi-database support for MSPs who are going to use this software for multiple companies. They can just select the database they want to use for that company, and then they can upload it up. And then it also comes with the Labeler V1 sister program for $750 a year. The asterisk is because we already have version 2 ready, or almost ready. Its functionality is working. It just needs to be tweaked and pretty much have the actual like physical design of it working. The functionality of it does, but it's not artistically sound, I guess, is probably what I could describe it as. But upgrading to the Labeler V2 sister program for the first edition will be an extra 50, so that'll be an even 800 a year. Obviously, we're going to talk about Tech Pack in the future. Future releases might or might not happen every single year, but there'll probably be an additional feature or some bug fixes on future releases. And then the Labeler V2 program has the ability to save custom file types in a .tpls, which is a custom file type, and then more custom edits changeable to the tag size. So I'm actually going to quickly open it up. So this is our Labeler V1. So you can put in an asset tag. So let's say 000001. So let's just put my name and generate. So one of the issues with this version is that the white does not cover the name here, but it does when you print it out. And then we still have the about and our menu just doesn't exit. Very basic program. Labeler V2 is a much more robust version of this. So this is what I meant by it was not artistically sound. It's just a white background with non-design labels. So this is the next part of the actual program that we got to work on. So we have a help, which goes straight to our website to submit a ticket into our ticketing system on the website. We have manage presets, which does not do anything yet since we're still working on the preset. We have open label, which will did not open a label yet. That is on the other one that does it already. And then create new label. Create new label opens up this new window with a, again, non-artistically sound interface. So the barcode data is what is inside the lines of the barcode. So we can say 000001. It also automatically, in real time, updates the barcode and also puts the barcode data on the bottom here. This top text, so we can say property of PWI, if we don't want to go past the white line. And the bottom text, you can put, let's say, the user. So we're going to put my name again. And then this is the basic of that label. You can also change the code type. So we also can do QR code. Because in the future, we want to be able to add a mobile version of TechPack that can be on like a little physical device, probably something Raspberry Pi based, so that you can, kind of scan the QR code and it pulls up the page information about that device. But that's just a feature that we have in the system that we don't actually have in TechPack yet. And then just a regular code 128. And we're going to be adding more code types here in the future. Label size. This is where you can actually choose the size of your label. So we have anywhere between 2 and 1.5 to 3 by 2. We also have like 1.5 by 1, 1.25 by 1. And we also have 2.25 by 0.75, etc. And this is how you can test just to see how your barcode looks well. So if you head over to File and Print, you'd be able to print this to your label printer. which we're hoping to get some point this year for our final testing before we actually release Tech Pack as well. So, one of the main features of this version is the ability to be able to save these. So we can save this as, you know, test.techpack label. So now, if we go over to back to main menu, create new label, here's out the board. If we do file, load label, test, open, automatically puts all of the data back into the fields with this file. So the file itself does not save the barcode. It saves all the data and auto-populates it, and then just immediately converts the label here to what the data in shows. So that's something really nice. And you also can just click save to save the file, and then you can also save as to save a new file. But this is where this manage presets comes in place. So let's say you have a preset for your company or for a specific department of your company. So let's say you want to have the top text be the HR department. And type on this new keyboard. Let's say we have the top text being HR department, and we have the bottom text be property of TWI. And let's say you want to make sure that all of these will be a code 128, and then label size will be a 2.25 by 1.25. If you went over here and did manage preset, after this is done, a new window will appear where you can create these presets. And how we want this to work is that this will be a custom preset file, which is going to be having its own file type. When you click load file or load label, or if you are at, you can just save this as the test label again. We have back to main menu. If you have a create new label, we're also going to have another button that says create new label from preset, which you would be able to click on this. It would open up a open file dialog, which would be able to let you use a preset label file type, which will automatically populate the top text, bottom text, code type, and label size, but leave barcode data blank so that you can actually just work on it. So obviously, the real-time only works when you actually have barcode data in it. None of this works yet. So let's say if I just do my name here. And then label size works no matter what. Only when you put in the data will it actually update it. So that's kind of a nice thing. Kind of like a little preference here, but and then you'd be able to save it. And then you only can save it as a tech pack label, so you have no worries about overwriting your preset with a label, which is another thing that I think that we're going to like in the future. And then keep hitting the help. So under file, we have that load label, save up, print, manage presets, back to main menu. So that is the second version of the Label V2 program, and it has its own customizable MSI installer that I will not show because we don't have that anymore. That was version 1's MSI. I'm creating a brand new MSI installer that will have all this nice features. You can change where it's installed, yada yada yada. But let's get into the next part of the event. Questions and answers. Does anyone have any questions on Tech Pack or the labeler? If we don't have any questions right now, there will be a final Q&A at the end of the event. So if you have any questions, then you guys can post them in the chat, and I will get to them. We're gonna talk about the bus manager next. This is been a system or a product that I've been wanting to create for a while now, and hence why we do have this 3D printer here for 3D printing the actual box on it, or for the actual enclosure for this. But let's get into it. So for as long as I can remember, bus drivers have used a piece of paper with written route instructions on how to get each stop in the bus stop. This can cause many issues with new and guest drivers, along with wrong drop-off location, but also is essentially causing distracted driving because you actually have to look at a piece of paper for directions rather than, like a GPS. And the bus manager is a network application used to give point-to-point direction with GPS for bus routes. So, I have a test Raspberry Pi in my mount, but here we have the Raspberry Pi. This is a 4GB 4B, and this is most likely going to be the base of that device. So how it's going to work is that we're going to have this Raspberry Pi here. We're going to have a addition. They're called hats. So we're going to have a hat that's going to have an M.2 drive so that we no longer have to boot off of this micro SD card for added performance and reliability. We're going to have 2 more hats on top of on these little GPIO boards here. So actually what I can do, I can move over the gist cam so you guys can see this a lot better here. So we're going to have a hat that's going to have a GPS module. So this module will be able to show you how to, or the GPS. We're also going to have another module for specifically LTE data. This is something that we're debating if it's going to be a add-on to the product. So let's say this is going to be like Bus Manager Lite is just GPS, but then Pro comes with this LTE, which is going to be an added on to the monthly subscription where you can get a data cap per month. And how it'll work is that the Lite version is going to have the bus stops programmed into the Raspberry Pi itself onto that M.2 drive. Or the Lite version might still use the micro SD card for price effectiveness. But either way, whatever device it's booting off of will have the drop-off locations stored on the device itself, which means that these devices will not be hot swappable between buses unless you actually go in and change all of the bus stops, which we are working on a solution for. Maybe it's going to be a new file type that will specifically just have bus stop locations on it that you can just kind of like swap in and out between devices. But that's something that we're still working towards. This is still in the drawing phase. We barely even have a working web application ready, working for it. But that's kind of how this device is going to work. So these will be using Raspberry Pi 4Bs. This is the 4GB model. So it will have 4 gigs of RAM. I'm working on it with a Raspberry Pi 3B with 1 gig of RAM. So obviously, if that's working semi-decently, this is going to work just fine, which is why we are for sure doing the Raspberry Pi 4B. Although we have been debating here. So I bring this box up here because I got 5 Raspberry Pis for a project that we're working on here. One of the things that we have to look at, which is another hat that I did forget to talk about on this device, is going to be a battery hat. So there's these batteries, the 18650 batteries that are rechargeable. They're going to be on the very top part of this, hopefully on the side of this here, because in the closer that's going to be 3D printed, we're going to have a little, flip up piece that you can actually take out the battery if you want to replace it, but also be able to charge the battery itself so that this is a rechargeable device. And there's going to be either 1 or 2 batteries. We still need to buy some parts for this device and do some drawing stages on it. So this is a long ways away from release, but we do have a pretty solid idea of what we want to have working on this itself. Back over here. So back here. Hopeful features. We kind of talked about a couple of them. It's going to have a data-only SIM card for network and also a GPS. When coding from companies, this is a price and data cap for device will be talked over. Caps will be starting at 500 megabytes a month, but can go up to 20 gigabytes per month per SIM card. And that does make it pretty costly, but we do try to make things as cost effective as possible. Things are actively changing for these devices, which is why we think the light version will not have LTE, but only GPS. Since GPS is free, we won't have to worry about that. So the Pro version, we're just going to call that for now because we don't really have a set, idea of how this is going to work. The Pro version will have the LTE so that it can access LTE data so that it can access the server. The server will be hosted at the company's site, either a virtual machine or on the, let's say, transportation director's computer, which means it would have to be on full time, which is why we would really hope for a designated machine that would be on at all times for this system to work. That will be hosted on their site, or we can host it. We are going to be most likely adding a couple servers to the server rack that we don't have right now. But if anyone watches our YouTube channel for the Office Makeover series, you'll know what we're talking about over here. And we do have a new rack that we're getting. It's bigger than the one that I think I originally decided on, but it does give us the ability, excuse me here, to add an additional, I think, 2 DL380 Generation 9s so that we can have a lot of virtual machines running. So that is something that we're looking at in the future. But right now, it's going to be an on-site server for right now that will have a SQL database that will grab student information such as bus numbers or bus names, along with address, age, gender, etc. Might be a part of this, just because it does have to be, technically it needs to be HIPAA compliant, but obviously age, gender, not technically something we really have to be have in the software. So it'll just be name. If we even add student information, that's something that we've been talking about for a little bit. If we want to actually have that on there, or if we just want to have the addresses and that's it. So that'll be hosted onto a SQL server. The web application will spin up, and it's going to be each web application has its own little web server. Each Raspberry Pi has its own little web server that hosts a version of the bus manager. So it uses Python and Flask to create that interface on the Raspberry Pi so that there is less bogging down the server. What happens is it'll create a query on the network application. It will send that query asking for the bus name. The bus name will be embedded into the program for each manager. There's a settings icon so that you can actually drop down and click which bus you want the Pro feature to be on. But it'll then send that query over to LTE to the server. The server will read it. It will populate the query with all of the information. So, bus stop, select an ID, select stop 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the address. And then I'll send it back over to the web application, and it will populate in the settings panel all of the information that is needed for that device. Then our plan is to have that device manager, or not device manager, sorry, but that bus manager take each of those stops and put them into the map with a step-by-step audio directions with a max of, I think we set it at 25 stops, give or take. And this will have either a 5-inch display for the Lite and a 7-inch display for the Pro, and then also speakers. The speaker will be inside. I think I have one of those right here. Yeah, so we have this little device here. Go back into JustCam for a minute. This is a speaker hat with a audio out so that you'll be able to use headphones. We also are going to be adding a Bluetooth module into this so that you can pair a Bluetooth earbud if you want to have like one earbud on your left side of your ear to hear the directions. And then the map will be on the little display to make things easier for you to be able to see. So move over this back in game. So this is a very bogged down pricing. Obviously this product is a long ways away from actual release, so pricing can change. I think the physical device will be around $325, a one-time purchase. Software will be $20 a month, not including LTE, and this will be just for the software, for the server side or client side, and will be just our regular support. We will offer free email support for a limited time, and then there'll also be the extended support that will that we're still working on. And then data. So we're thinking about starting at the 5 GB per month at $12 a month, added on to this software. We're going to be doing a lot of testing, so 5 GB a month might be a lot in terms of how we want this to work. The way that we really want it to work is that it'll download the map data of each stop in directions, as long as you don't go a different route, which is why we're not doing this. We thought it was a good idea, but we just run into some caveats. Download the data so that it just brings up the not transportation, but the one-to-one directions from a file to reduce data. But if there is a block in the road, if they go the wrong way, it will not update. So we kind of put that aside. But this is, again, some general, pre-production pricing of what we're thinking is going to be happening with Bus Manager itself. Obviously, there's the Raspberry Pi, the M.2 hat, GPS, LTE, Bluetooth, speaker hats on all of this. And if all of this is even on here, who even knows for sure, because there is already a audio out on here. So there's a chance that we could just have, because there's already Bluetooth inside this device, so technically we don't even need a speaker hat unless you want to have speaker directions. We could make it so that it's specifically specifically Bluetooth enabled, so that students can hear it. And also with how loud a bus can be, that's why we're kind of leaning towards just having that specific one earpiece for listening. So again, if there's any questions and answers, I'll take them right now. If not, if you want to do them at the end of the event, we can do that. Give you guys a couple seconds if we want to move forward. All right, if there is nothing, then we'll go over to the next software that we have in the pipeline. Thunderbolt Interactive would like to present Reward Hub. It's our universal reward system for small and medium business. So the story about this came, not going to go into deep detail about it, but essentially my wife's shop has a physical punch card that they were having customers do extra punches on at home, trying to get free stuff quicker. And essentially they've been wanting to switch to a digital system for quite a while. So that's why I kind of started this as a little project. But then I actually realized we could actually do something with this. So that's why we created the name Reward Hub, created a logo, as you can see, and created a little system for it. So Reward Hub is a digital reward system for small and medium businesses. Set rewards are based on every 5 times someone makes a purchase, and the counter is reset after 20. Customers get a text from a toll-free number letting them know what punch they are on and how many until their next reward. So this is kind of the system that we have for my wife and her parents' shop, Grambling Nutrition here. So we have a bunch of different stuff here that I can actually just open up and take a look at here in a second here. We can move this over and try and find the website here. So no release date set at this time, but price will be $30, $35 a month, or $400 a year. Price includes a toll-free number and web hosting by us, along with some custom tweaks to the site, such as color scheme, logos, additional features that might be added with little to no extra cost, depending on your business needs. Custom domain can be added for additional $30 a year. Currently, we are just using the IP address of the system. So that is another thing that we are working on right now, would be adding a custom domain. So let's say you want to add a .com domain. It's probably going to be like a $30 a year, which is what this is at. So, and then we can be hosting it on site for that $30, $35 a month. Or if you want to host it on the machine, you can do a one-time perpetual payment of $650 a year, or a one-time payment of $650 with 1 year of free email support from us, answering any questions. This is kind of like a set in stone price, $650 for that one-time payment. It will add additional features if you do want any, or if everything's good, then that is it. You can pay to have additional features. That will depend on the feature set of what you guys want and the specific business that you're in. So I'm gonna bring over. This is the site that we're using. So I'm gonna type in my name and what I believe is my password. And there we go. All right, so how theirs is working and how most other customers will probably be working is that we have the sidebar here with different buttons. We also have the dashboard, which is our homepage, which shows some analytics. So we have the punches today, which is how many times, how many punches you guys had today and this month. Punches for the last 7 days, you will have a punch here. So and then every single day, it'll add a single day until it covers this whole entire side with 7 days, and then it'll reset. Or it won't reset, but it will delete the 7th day and add the new day at the end of every single week, so that you can see how many punches that you're getting and trying to get more customers to use the digital punch system, because there is a decent amount of stuff that you can do with it. So the customers, this is where you can add customers to put into the system. So I added my wife and I, our emails, phone numbers, and then you can view, you can edit, and then you can also delete customers. And then you have this add customer button here after you put in information here. So obviously the main page that you'd be on is the punch page. You can put in the number. I'll put in mine and I'll do add a punch. This will error out because we do not have the toll-free number system working fully, but it will still semi-work, I guess. Obviously, it'll show that there's a punch in the system. It'll just time out on the text message. But we can do... Yeah, we got the internal server error because it can't actually reach the punch. But if you head home, you do get a punch. And you got 1 punch today, 1 punch this month, so on and so forth. So how the text is supposed to work is that when you set up the system with us, we will go into our text messaging Twilio, and we will enable a number. And let me see what this is. Okay. we would have to enable or purchase a toll-free number, and we would have to get permission from Twilio to use it as a text message or for SMS. Once that is approved, we would create a default message. So the current message that we have is hello and then customer name. It gets it from the database that has the customer name. You currently are at, we got one punch today, so let's just say one punch. At one punch, and then later the quotation with an S. You have 4 more punches until your next reward. Thank you for stopping by, and come again. And then you'll have like the GBN team, because that's what their company is. So rewards, this is where you have your reward system. So values of 5 up until 20. So they have a free booster up to 125 in value, $3 off a bomb combo for 10 and 15, and then $3 off bomb combo plus a free $1.25 booster for punch 20. And you can choose your values here, but you cannot have a duplicate value for these punch values. And this is something that can be edited for each business. You can go higher. You can have higher punch values. So let's say you want to go up to 30, 50, whatever. That is something that we can edit and that we can change so that you can actually add those additional punches. And then settings, we do not have the settings done, so it just gives you an internal server error, but it'll give you the ability to access dark mode. It'll give you be able to do a user-based color scheme, etc., etc. So that is the digital reward system. So if there's no Q&A on this, which we'll just skip that to the end. We're done talking about some of the future projects that we have. I don't think this is fully updated, so a couple of them we're not going to be doing anymore. But our all-in-one social media posting software to help us with our marketing. We're no longer going to be working on a point-of-sale system. That's just, I mean, we might not. We don't know for sure. There's way too many free, not free, but like very powerful ones like Square and Leaf. So we're not sure we want to even try and enter the POS sale state, but that's going to be a up for grabs maybe. Pocket POS is going to be a ARM-mounted screen with a Raspberry Pi. Most likely going to be, if I can even find it in here, either going to be the 0W or the Pico. If it is, or it's going to be a 4, and it's going to be a little bit of a beefy device. So we'll have the Raspberry Pi under, screen on top. But this device is going to be able to remote using remote desktop into a Windows computer that has your point of sale system on it. So this came around from McDonald's when I worked there earlier this year in between positions. One of the things that I was that we were having a lot of issues with being understaffed is long lines that we have to go do something that's not in front of the register, which is what gave me the idea of, you know, if you're on grill flipping burgers and you don't have any food you need to make, or if you're waiting on something, you could put on a headset, load up the point of sale on whatever register you wanted to go to, and just start punching it in. And then you could take orders when you're not even at the register. And this could work for, obviously, it's one device per system because you can have multiple RDPs into a system at once. But you could have either the order taker do it, or you could have the person on grill do it, or if you have a support person who can take orders while doing other things, they can do that as well. Thunderbooks is supposed to be our bookkeeping software. We kind of just put that on hold right now because we're not really doing anything with that. Local help desk is a local-based help desk software. I mean, it's pretty much self-explanatory. Instead of it being cloud-based, it's going to be hosted on local server, a client-side program, and a technician-side program, so on and so forth. We have a product/documentation manager. This is going to be something that's going to be in the far future. It's going to be a web-based program like IT Glue for documentation on clients for MSPs. Code Snippet Manager, this is supposed to just help us with some code. If there's a piece of code that we think we'll reuse in the future, or if we've have been struggling on something that might be used in a future project, it's pretty much going to be part of that documentation manager, but it's going to be really dumbed down just for code snippets. So you can create a header, a description, and then a picture, or just paste the code in, and then we might have more software in following after all of this is done. So let's see. Next up, we have our closing remarks. I want to thank everyone for who was here, even if it was just for a little bit, to joining this Thunderbolt Interactive State of Play event for December of 2023. I hope everyone has a happy new year, and it looks forward to 2024. So now, as we're ready for our final Q&A. If anyone has any questions, put them in the chat now. I'll have this live for a couple minutes before we end it. What was that?
Nobody's been watching for the last 20 minutes.
Well, if we don't have anyone here, then we will just end that live stream now. Thank you to everyone who was here, even if it was just for a little bit. And we will be back in June for our next event. Hopefully, we'll be able to get more people in on that one. We'll have a lot more kind of a marketing push for this event. But hope you guys all enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next video or live stream.